Okay, I'm just gonna start. Okay. So we are currently in Greenwich Village right now. We are about to head over to the Music Inn. It's one of the oldest music stores in New York. It's been around since the 50s. And today we're gonna talk to Cooley Slatnik. He runs the store with his dad, who's actually the owner, and he's gonna show us around.
Oh, hey!
Hey, Cooley!
Hello. Oh, it's you!
Yeah!
I didn't know you were the one.
It's pretty quiet here.
Okay.
Yeah, if you guys want to get yourself settled in or something.
Exactly did the inn first start, and at what point did your dad get involved with the business?
So in like 1958, like I said, this guy Jerry, he was like a war veteran who basically had come here, settled in, and started this as a record store. And so originally it was just a record shop with a few instruments here and there, and it was really, I think the instrument collecting was kind of more of his hobby. And he also had a bunch of African art that we actually sold years later, but there was also a ton of artwork everywhere too. It was somewhere maybe 10 years after opening the shop in like the 1960s, my dad, who was a traveling sitar player, wandered in here and basically saw that he had these instruments, and my dad was like, well, I know how to fix these, and I know how to play some of these, like I can help you out. So over the years, probably through the 60s and 70s, my dad, whenever he was passing through New York, he would come here and he would work here for periods of time. And then basically as the 70s turned into the 80s, my dad basically settled into New York, got an apartment, and basically just kind of ended up here every day. But he remembers like Bob being around, like he remembers Bob Dylan sitting outside and stuff like that. And there was God, what's his name? David Ronk. There's a gentleman named David Ronk, and he was a really influential artist in the folk scene. Like he knew Dylan and stuff like that. But he lived over on McDougal Street and kind of hung out in the area. And basically him, Bob Dylan, this guy named Franzen, they basically all were at these different clubs playing music. And my dad was like hanging out around the scene at the same time. And because they were all kind of hanging out around here, the folk scene really kind of bloomed here in a lot of ways. Even today, a lot of these folk artists still hang out around here. So it's like all these old guys who basically knew Dylan and knew my dad and stuff like that. They'd still kind of hang out around McDougal Street and stuff. So yeah, it's just a lot of folk history rooted here. The original boss name was Jerry. He developed Parkinson's, and somewhere around maybe the 90s, early 2000s, it got so bad that he lived across the street, but he couldn't come in anymore. Basically, my dad would have us basically watch over the guy and come here and do shifts watching him. And basically my dad just kind of inherited the store. It always changes, but something we're ranging up to like 500 instruments. So it was a record store, but originally just had a few instruments here and there, and it wasn't really I think he more collected them than intentionally selling them, So what happened was basically this was like in the 1950s. And all through the 60s and 70s, like when my dad came in, my dad having he could repair the instruments and stuff like that. He started to collect more, and my dad started fixing them up and setting them up. And basically now today we have this whole business where basically we take instruments from, traders or manufacturing companies, but it's basically instruments from everywhere, and we get them in every type of fashion, We make one instrument. It's actually this one particular instrument. It's called Limitless, and this is actually made by my dad and this gentleman named Andy Dowdy. And basically what they do is it's the same body in every single instrument they make, but it's a different type of stringed instrument. So like this is a sitar, and then we have like one, let's say over here, this would be a oud, but you see how it's the same shape. Mm-hmm. We've always kind of had like a relationship with folk music too. So we sell like, mountain dulcimers, which are a big part of folk music, and then mandolins. Let me see if I could get... We have these open mics that happen every Thursday, and it's basically you come, sign up at like 6:30, and it starts at 7:30, and basically it goes on from 7:30 to midnight, and you can do poetry, play music, do whatever you want. And we've been doing those for about, these open mics have been happening on and off for about 12 years. Yeah. Everything that doesn't have strings is down here, basically. So it's like all percussion and bells and basically a lot of, you know, not like a drum set, but like world percussion down here. These are all like shakers. These are like different seed shakers. These are actually hard to get. Like, yeah, usually people bring these into us. They're from Ghana, actually. If you can see here, like all of these here are ocarinas and stuff like that. Different types of ocarinas, and then we have different flutes from different places. Native American flutes, you know, Indian flutes, Chinese, Japanese. Everything you see here. There's a shakuhachi that I can't play for the life of me. And then these are like old sheet music. If you look here, these are like sheet music from the 1900s.
It's a really good condition.
Yeah. Well, this really nice lady came here some years ago. She organized all this.
So this is where the open mics are.
These are where the open mics are. So this is just pulled out into like rows. We line them up here, and then right here where the camera is basically this is like a stage, and you know, people come, they play this piano. We really need to work on this piano. It's kind of falling apart. But basically, yeah, these are just rows. And it fits probably about like, we usually have like 30 people down here at once, usually. That's kind of how much it fits.
What kinds of performances?
Everything, honestly. I tap dance in it, like and like I tap with like a folk group that does here. We have like, you know, all these different comedians who come here. And then some world musicians, you know, like we have this guy who plays kora. I swear I only know like 2 kora players in the entire city, and you know, they both come here.
I was here for a few days just playing all the instruments. I like recently quit my other job and I had some free time, and like I've known Kool-Aid for like years before that. So then like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago I was just hanging out and I was playing like a ukulele and someone came up to me and was asking me about it, and I was just playing it for them. And then they're like, okay, I'll take it. And I'm like, what? I was just playing it. So then they bought the ukulele, and then that's how I started working here. And Jeff said I tricked him. But
You made a sale.
I accidentally made a sale.
You helped.
That's interesting. I learned how to carve when I was a little boy. And that's just carving wood and carving things out of wood. And I built my first electric guitars when I was in high school. And I had only built 1 or 2 or 3 or something like that by the time I met Jeff. And Jeff showed me his idea, and I got excited about it and went and bought some wood and some new gouges and started carving. It's a long hallway, and then no idea what we're gonna find here. Just on everything.
Right,
this
so
is an instrument that we're working on right now, and it's, as you can see, I've been away for a week. So this one will have 6 strings plus 2 here. There will be so these came in. So we're gonna have these guys, and this is the way it sort of looks. Last time I was here, the finish was a little too soft yet to really get a good polish on it. So today I'm going to make it shined up like it was Darth Vader's helmet.
How much does the shape of the head influence the acoustics?
Well, that's debatable.
If at all.
It does. Okay, so this one's going to have a magnetic pickup. And the sound that comes out of that pickup through the wire and into the amp is the sound from that pickup. It's the steel strings vibrating in front of the magnetic field that generates this current, and that is the sound that it makes. But the strings, having a very thin body like this, does influence how the strings behave. And so we get more overtones than a regular guitar does. It rings more.